Hello everyone, reporting for First Updates Now. Today I'm Abbas, and with me I have Team 11228, the OverClucked Bots from Zeeland, Michigan. We could probably spend the whole behind the bot time talking about all the awards they've won this season and all the finalist alliance captains and playoffs they've made, but let's really take a deep dive into their robot design, hardware, software, and what makes them so great. All this and more coming up on First Updates Now.
This video on First Updates Now is made possible by viewers like you and also the following sponsors. At Kettering University, over 30% of the student population was in high school robotics. These same students have received a portion of over $7 million in scholarships. Scholarship applications for FIRST students are now available. Get more information at kettering.edu/first. SOLIDWORKS is free for FIRST teams. Over 80% of U.S. engineering schools and 370,000 plus companies use SOLIDWORKS to design great products. SOLIDWORKS can help you design a great robot on desktop or on the cloud. Go to solidworks.com/first to register your team.
Nico and Owen, why don't you guys get started talking about your drivetrain? It seems pretty standard, Mecanum drivetrain, but every team always does something a little bit different to address the challenges of this year's game. So walk me through it.
So for our drivetrain, we have, mecanum wheels, so we can go in any direction and strafe. And then we also have little side plates, so we can display our sponsors and also be protected for us running into any poles. And then we also have our drivetrain sort of lifted a little bit higher than we usually would, so we can go over ground junctions without having any issues.
Awesome. And so do you guys use this feature of being able to go over the ground junctions a lot during your matches, or is it something that's sort of just like built in there, but you haven't really had like a need to use it yet?
It usually creates just such a easier time driving because we don't have to worry about going through all the only thing we have to worry about is the poles.
Yeah.
With no ground junctions.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's go on to your intake. I think you guys have a very advanced intake system, and there's a lot to talk about in there. So why don't we just start with an overview, and then we can take a deep dive into some of the components.
All right, so our gripper is basically sort of a claw that will grab the cone, pull it in, and drop it off on a nest for a pass-off.
Sure. And how has it changed throughout the season? Have you guys made a lot of iterations on it, or has it sort of just been good from day one?
The general design and our concept of the intake has been good, but we have made slight changes to all the parts. So first, our gripper started off having 2 points of contact, sort of little grippers on each side. And then after a lot of prototyping, we have our fourth iteration here that when we realized the more points of contact we had, the better grip we would have. We made this design with 4 rollers. This also lets us grab it a little out, and it will pull it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fantastic. And so you guys what type of servo are you guys using to power your gripper?
I believe we're using a speed servo.
Okay, fantastic. And so after you guys grip the servo or grip the cone, then you have to take it back into your robot. And so I see you guys have a combination of horizontal slides as well as a virtual 4-bar. So why don't you walk me through that and how each of those works and works together?
All right. So the general process is we'll have our virtual 4-bar go out and lay it on the ground so we can pick up cones. And then we also have a feature where our horizontal slides can shoot out and make it easier for us to grab cones, or we also use it in our autonomous period to grab cones. And then we grab the cone, as I said before, and we use our virtual 4-bar to pull it in.
Mm-hmm.
If it'll work.
Yeah.
And then we pull it back into our robot. And the reason we have it up is so that it won't interfere with any other part of our robot when we pull it in. Then we drop it off on our little pass-off system here. It's a little sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Nest. That's right. It's a nest. And this is our third design of the nest. Our first design was fairly simple, and it would lead to getting cones stuck in our system, and it would make for a very clunky pass-off. But after a few changes in design, we came with this one, and this one will make it so any angle you drop the cone, it will land perfectly and make it for an optimized pass off.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe those are BWT link slides for your horizontal extension. And
Yes.
so, did you guys experiment like with any other slides, or did those just work from day one?
These have worked from day one, so we didn't feel the need to change them.
Got it. And are those the 12-inch or 16-inch versions? Like, what's the chassis size of your robot?
These are the 16-inch versions.
Okay, got it. And another question about like your horizontal extension. I think one thing that's like really important this year is like deciding whether or not to have a horizontal extension. So for you guys, was that decision driven because you needed it in autonomous, or because you needed it in teleup, or just you wanted it in both?
This year, we thought it would be necessary to have the horizontal slide extension for quick and reliable movements in Auton, especially because we have been focusing on Auton. They are more consistent and faster than us driving the whole robot to the position.
Sure, yeah, that makes complete sense. Let's go on to your deposit and lift system. So, seems like as many degrees of freedom as you had in your intake, you took that and did it again in your deposit. So why don't you first walk me through like the roller style claw or intake that you have for your deposit, and then we'll go on to your lift and turret and arm and all of those things.
So for our output mechanism, we decided to use a active rather than passive because it would be faster, more efficient, and way more reliable. So these will spin, pulling it up until they get stopped by this little metal plate. And then we will use our slides to pull it all the way up in the air so we can score it on a pole with our little turret over here that's powered by servo.
Yeah, great. And it looks like on top of your turret you have some set of prongs. I assume that's to align with the goal or something like that. Oh, okay. So they actually flip down. And so are those something you had the entire season, or how was that developed?
So we just added these after Fruitport, because they would help us a lot more with lining up, and they make our autons way faster.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And going on to your turret, so is it powered by a motor, one servo, two servos? How does it work? And how have you guys made sure it's very consistent throughout like the whole season?
We use a speed servo to power a gear ratio that turns our turret. This is actually our second, attempt at this. Our first time at Kentwood, we used a torque servo, but that was not as quick and made our scoring very slow.
Got it. And so now going on to your lift, are you guys using those BWT link slides again, or some other slide system?
We are using the same slides.
Okay. And how are you powering them?
We have two motors down here, and at the very beginning of the season, we calculated what the best gear ratio would be for the fastest and most efficient and reliable sort of lift. So we have two motors down here, 5-2. So we did a lot of math at the very beginning to find out that these would be the fastest.
Yeah, that's great. And do you know how long it takes you guys to raise your lift to the correct height?
It takes us half a second.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And have you guys had any issues with like current draw throughout the season, or like your batteries dying out too quickly or anything like that, or it's just been smooth sailing the whole time?
We have had problems with the motors overheating, and we had one burn out last week because we ran it too much. So, we need to be careful with how long we run it for, and we have a fan to cool them off too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think this has been a really great overview of your hardware and everything. And actually, one last question before we get into software. How do you guys deal with the beacon? I think using and like making a beacon that works for a team is really important every season. And especially this one, I think a big challenge is deciding if you're going to have your beacon always go on top of a cone, or if it's something that you can control independently. So what's your guys' strategy with that, and what was the logic behind it?
So this year we have been prioritizing getting the cat because it's very important, and we use a baking sheet that we can place on top of a cone so that we can score a cone and the beacon at the same time. This allows us more points for scoring it.
Yeah, that's great. And so let's talk about your software. I saw a lot of sensors just scattered throughout the robot here and there. I know I saw a distance sensor, I believe, in your intake, and I'm sure there's a lot of others that I just couldn't see. So can you guys walk me through like all the sensors on your bot, how you use them, and how you've made sure they work very well and consistently?
So we have a color sensor placed inside our gripper, and that allows us to sense the scanning sleeve in Auton, which is a very important part of our Auton, and that's what you see right here in the gripper.
So you guys actually scan the sleeve when the match starts, not like during initialization like a lot of other teams do?
No, we do not.
Okay, and do you guys have like plans to use like a camera or some other system to detect it later in the season so you can, maybe shave off a couple of seconds, or is it really not a concern right now?
It hasn't been a concern for us. We have used a color sensor. It just allows us to program it easier. Meanwhile, a camera we have never used, although it would be a very cool feature to incorporate.
Yeah.
We don't feel it's necessary, though.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And do you reuse this color sensor like in Autonomous and Teleop to detect cones in any way? Or is it really just there for the sleeves detection?
We right now only use it for the sleeve detection. However, it was one of our goals to use it to detect if we have a cone in the claw during Auton.
Got it. And I think another thing that's really important in Autonomous each year is knowing where you are, right? So how do you guys ensure that you know where you are on the field at all times? So, what's your localization method, and how have you made sure that it's very consistent?
So this year we incorporated gyroscopes into our programs to make sure we're moving in a straight path and turning the exact angle, because it is so precise and that we need to be lined up to the centimeter to these poles and to the stack of cones.
Got it. And so then I assume you use the gyro along with drive encoders and the motors, or is it some other thing?
Yes, we use them with the encoders.
Got it. And for your lift and intake and all of that, it's also just drive encoders, or do you guys have some sort of like limit switches or distance sensors to make sure they're zeroed at the same point every time?
No, we just use the encoders.
Yeah, I mean, if it's simple and it works, there's no point in overcomplicating it. So that's great. And what about with your turret? Have you had any need to use anything except just like the normal servo send to position, like set PWM stuff, or are you guys using like additional sensors for your turret?
No, we do not have any sensors on the turret. We have not felt the need.
Got it. And walk me through your autonomous program currently. How many cones are you guys doing? I assume you're doing the preload every time, and then you probably pick up a couple off the stack. So how has that been, and how have you guys made sure it's really consistent?
Yeah, so since we've been valuing our autonomous points because they're doubled and they are tiebreaker points, we have focused on a very solid Auton. So we have the preloaded cone, we scan the sleeve, and we can pick all 5 off the stack also.
Wow. And you score those 5 extra on the high junction, or the mid or low, or what?
We are able to score both on the high and mid. However, we, for the most part, use high unless our opponent is also doing it, because we do not want to interfere.
Of course. And so to know if your opponent is also going to score on the high junction, do you guys like detect if they're there, or do you guys just run a different program if you know your opponent's going to run that high program?
So part of that is scouting, and we look at the data to see if they do. Also, while we're queuing, we can ask them just to see what program we should run.
Mm-hmm. And, while we're wrapping up, I think you guys have your Michigan State Championship coming up. I assume by the time this video is actually live on First Updates Now, it'll have passed, and hopefully we'll see your guys' name right next to that Winning Alliance Captain title on FTC events. So what are your guys' thoughts going into the Michigan State Championship? Like, what's your plan to do really well? I mean, I'm sure there's tough competition as there is every year, but I think you guys will do really well.
Yeah, so we are very excited for tomorrow. It is. And we'd love to get an award or something to boost us into Worlds. That would be great.
Yeah,
We're
I mean,
excited.
if there was any team that was going to win an award at the Michigan State Championship, it pretty much has to be you guys, right? Connect, control, design, inspire, think, innovate. I mean, you guys have just really been nominated or won every single award there is at your qualifier. So I think you guys are looking pretty strong for that. And then as well as Robot, of course, do you guys have any like different driver strategies or anything that you will be incorporating maybe in playoff matches or throughout quals, or what's the plan there?
Yeah, so we've been focusing a lot on strategy because it is such a strategic game. We also value the strategy because the cones are limited. So in Teleop, we usually in qualifying at least we go for a circuit for max points, and also we use our horizontal slides to slam on the high pole.
Got it.
We use the same sort of general idea that we use for our autonomous that we do on our high pole. So we'll just drive over and line up, and we can just start slamming cones on there as fast as we can.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, OverClucked Bots, thank you very much. I think people will learn a lot from this interview. You guys have an amazing robot, amazing software, and strategy to go along with it, and I think you guys will do well at the Michigan State Championships. So, once again, reporting for First Updates Now, I'm Abbas, and with me here is Team 11228.
Thank you.
This video on First Updates Now is made possible by viewers like you and also the following sponsors. This video on First Updates Now is made possible by viewers like you and also the following sponsors. SOLIDWORKS is free for first teams. Over 80% of U.S. engineering schools and 370,000 plus companies use SOLIDWORKS to design great products. SOLIDWORKS can help you design a great robot on desktop or on the cloud. Go to solidworks.com/first to register your team. At Kettering University, over 30% of the student population was in high school robotics. These same students have received a portion of over $7 million in scholarships. Scholarship applications for first students are now available. Get more information at kettering.edu/first. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow and check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.